I stood there in the dimly lit lawyer's office, my heart pounding like a drum in my chest, as the words hung in the air like a thunderclap. "Your brother may have thought he took everything," the attorney said, his voice steady but laced with a hint of irony, "but your father had one last surprise." My name, was the one that echoed through the room next, shattering the betrayal I'd just uncovered. How did I get here? Let me take you back, because this isn't just a story of greed and loss. It's a tale of family bonds twisted by ambition, and the quiet strength that sometimes wins in the end. Growing up in a modest suburban home in Ohio, life with my family felt like a warm, if imperfect, embrace. Dad was the rock. A hardworking mechanic who built his small auto shop from nothing after Mom passed away when I was just 10. He was the kind of man who fixed not just cars but people too, always with a grease-stained hand ready to help a neighbor or teach us kids a life lesson. My older brother Mark was 5 years my senior, the golden child in many ways. Charismatic, ambitious, he was the one who aced school, landed scholarships, and moved to the city for a high-flying finance job. Me. I was Sarah, the quiet one, content with community college and staying close to Dad, helping at the shop after classes. I loved the smell of oil and the satisfaction of making something run smooth again. Our family wasn't wealthy, but Dad had squirreled away savings over the years. A nest egg from the shop, some investments, and the house we'd all called home. He talked openly about his will, saying it would be split fairly between Mark and me. "Family first," he'd say, clapping us on the back during holiday dinners. But as Dad's health declined in his late 70s, first the arthritis, then the heart issues, things shifted. Mark started visiting more, but not out of pure concern. I'd overhear phone calls where he'd push Dad to sell the shop or invest in some sure-thing scheme. I brushed it off at first. Brothers and sisters bicker, right? But deep down, a unease grew like a crack in an engine block you know will fail eventually. Dad passed peacefully one autumn evening, surrounded by us both. The funeral was small, heartfelt, friends sharing stories of his generosity. Mark handled the arrangements, efficient as ever, while I grieved in my own way, sorting through old photos and tools in the garage. Little did I know the real storm was brewing. A week later, the lawyer called us in for the reading of the will. I expected sadness, maybe some closure. Instead, it was the beginning of a nightmare that would test everything I believed about blood and loyalty. As we settled into those stiff leather chairs in Mr. Hargrove's office, the family lawyer Dad had trusted for decades, I felt a mix of nostalgia and dread. The room smelled of old books and polished wood, a far cry from the greasy haven of Dad's shop. Mark sat beside me, his suit impeccable, phone buzzing silently in his pocket. He seemed composed, almost eager, while I fiddled with the hem of my simple dress, my mind replaying Dad's last words, "Take care of each other." How naive that sounded now. Mr. Hargrove cleared his throat and began reading. The will started innocuously: debts to be paid, small bequests to charities Dad loved, like the local animal shelter. Then came the bombshell. "To my son Mark," the lawyer intoned, "I leave the entirety of my estate, including the house, the auto shop, all savings, investments, and personal effects." My world tilted. "Everything?" I glanced at Mark, expecting shock, but he nodded solemnly as if this was expected. Me. I was mentioned only in a passing clause. "To my daughter Sarah, I leave my love and the knowledge that she already has what she needs." The room spun. How could this be? Dad had always promised fairness. I stammered questions, but Mr. Hargrove just shook his head sadly. "This is the document your father signed 6 months ago." Mark reached over, patting my hand like I was a child. "Sarah, Dad knew you'd be okay. You're independent. He wanted me to grow the business, make it something big." His words dripped with false sympathy, but I saw the glint in his eye, the triumph. Later, alone in my apartment, the pieces clicked. Those frequent visits, the financial advice sessions. Mark had manipulated Dad, preying on his weakening mind, convincing him I didn't need the inheritance because I was simple and content. The betrayal burned like acid. I'd sacrificed dreams of my own. Travel, maybe starting a family, to stay near Dad, nursing him through bad days. Mark. He'd swooped in when it suited, flashing his success to dazzle a frail old man. I confronted him that night over the phone. "How could you?" I cried. He laughed it off. "Dad changed his mind, sis. Get over it. Life's not fair." But I couldn't. Sleepless nights followed, replaying memories. Dad teaching me to change a tire, Mark always too busy. The house I'd grown up in, now Mark's to sell for profit. The shop, my second home, his to liquidate. Everything I'd held dear, stripped away by the one person who should have protected me. In the weeks that followed, isolation set in. Friends offered sympathy, but family drama like this? It alienates. I threw myself into work at a local garage, but the ache persisted. Little did I know Dad's love and knowledge clause wasn't empty words. It was a clue, a hidden layer in this painful puzzle. The full weight of the betrayal hit me like a freight train when Mark wasted no time asserting his claim. Within days of the will reading, he listed the house for sale, our childhood home where Mom's garden still bloomed wild in the backyard. Prime real estate, he boasted in a text, attaching listing photos that made my stomach churn. The shop? He shut it down, firing the 2 longtime employees without severance, planning to flip the property to a chain store. Dad's era is over, he said casually over coffee when I begged him to reconsider. Time to modernize. But the cruelty deepened. Digging through old emails, I found messages between Mark and Dad from months before the will change. Mark had painted me as ungrateful, claiming I'd argued with Dad about money, a lie I'd never. He'd even forged subtle suggestions that I was unstable, referencing a bout of depression after Mom's death. It was calculated emotional warfare. When I confronted him with printouts, he shrugged. Business is business, Sarah. Dad believed me. The smugness in his voice. It was like losing Dad all over again. Grief turned to rage. I hired a cheap lawyer to contest the will, citing undue influence, but Mark's high-powered attorney buried us in paperwork. You have no proof, they sneered in court. The judge sympathized but ruled in Mark's favor. The will was valid. I walked out penniless, humiliated, watching Mark smirk from across the room. Friends drifted. Who wants to side with the bitter sister? Even relatives whispered I was overreacting. Alone, I spiraled, questioning my worth. Was I really the forgettable one? Then a lifeline. A letter from Mr. Hargrove weeks after the ruling. Sarah, there's something your father entrusted to me privately. Come alone. My pulse raced as I returned to that office. He slid a sealed envelope across the desk. Your dad added a codicil, a secret amendment, right before he passed. He suspected Mark's manipulations but wanted to test his character. Inside was a key and instructions to a safety deposit box. Trembling, I drove to the bank, unlocking a trove. Deeds to a small cabin Dad owned secretly in the woods, stocks worth more than the house, and a handwritten letter. Dear Sarah, it read, if you're reading this, Mark failed the test. I changed the will to see if he'd share fairly. He didn't. This is yours, the real inheritance. Use it wisely and forgive when you can. Tears blurred the page. Dad had known. He'd played the long game, protecting me from afar. But the conflict wasn't over. Now came the reckoning. Armed with Dad's secret codicil, I felt a surge of empowerment mixed with sorrow. This wasn't about money anymore. It was about justice, the kind that heals wounds without drawing blood. Mr. Hargrove explained the legal weight. The amendment superseded the public will, nullifying Mark's claims on everything except minor assets. But Dad's note urged discretion. Let him learn, not suffer. So I plotted a moral payback, not vengeance, but a lesson wrapped in revelation. First, I quietly transferred the stocks, valued at over $500,000, into my name, watching my bank account swell from scraps to security. The cabin, a cozy retreat Dad had bought years ago as a rainy day haven hidden from records. I visited it alone, breathing in the pine-scented air, finding peace in its simplicity. No mansion, but it was mine, a symbol of Dad's quiet faith in me. Confronting Mark required finesse. I invited him to dinner at a neutral spot, a quiet diner like the ones Dad loved. He arrived cocky, assuming I wanted to beg for scraps. What's this about, Sarah? Finally accepting reality. I slid the codicil across the table, watching his face drain of color. Dad knew, I said softly. He tested you and you failed. He stammered denials, then anger. This is fraud. I'll sue. But Mr. Hargrove had already filed. The courts would side with the amendment. The real payback? I didn't take it all. Following Dad's spirit, I offered Mark a portion, enough for a fresh start, but not the windfall he'd stolen. Share it fairly like Dad wanted, I said. He refused at first, storming out, but weeks later as his empire crumbled. The house sale stalled by legal holds, the shop deal falling through, he called broken. I messed up, he admitted, voice cracking. We met again and I saw the boy I'd grown up with, buried under ambition's weight. In that moment revenge transformed. It wasn't about humiliating him, it was moral restitution. I helped him sell the shop to a local who promised to keep it running, splitting proceeds. The house. We co-owned it briefly, then sold, dividing fairly. Mark faced his greed's consequences. Lost friends, a dented reputation, but gained humility. Me. I found strength in forgiveness, not fury. As the dust settled, the payback's true power emerged. Not in assets reclaimed, but in the emotional shift it sparked. Mark, stripped of his illusions, began rebuilding. He moved back to town, took a modest job and slowly mended bridges. Our first real talk in years happened at the cabin where I invited him for coffee. Dad was smarter than us both, he confessed, staring at the lake. I thought success meant taking. He showed me it means giving. Tears came then from us both, release after years of tension. For me, the inheritance funded dreams deferred. I expanded Dad's shop under new ownership, turning it into a community hub with classes for kids on mechanics. The stocks grew, securing my future, but the real wealth was inner peace. I reflected on Dad's wisdom, how he'd foreseen the betrayal yet chose love over punishment. His test wasn't cruel, it was a gift, forcing growth. Nights by the fire I'd ponder family, fragile yet resilient. Betrayal hurts deepest from those closest, but it can forge stronger bonds if met with grace. I missed Dad fiercely but felt his presence in every decision. In the quiet aftermath, reflection became my anchor. This journey taught me that inheritance isn't just money, it's the values passed down, the resilience built through trials. Dad's will, both versions, was a masterclass in humanity, exposing greed while offering redemption. I emerged changed, not bitter but wiser, cherishing simple joys like a well-tuned engine or a shared laugh. Mark and I aren't picture-perfect siblings now, but we're healing. Holidays feel warmer, conversations deeper. I've even started a family of my own, vowing to instill Dad's lessons. Family first, always. Looking back, the shock of that lawyer's call was a turning point, from victim to victor through moral paths. If this tale of betrayal and comeback resonates, consider subscribing to the channel for more heartfelt family stories that tug at the heartstrings. Your support means more tales like this one. As the seasons turned, the lessons from Dad's clever will lingered like echoes in a quiet room. I'd often drive to the cabin on weekends, the winding roads a metaphor for the twisted path our family had navigated. There, amid the rustling leaves and crackling fires, I'd journal my thoughts, pouring out the raw emotions that betrayal had unearthed. It wasn't just about the money or the properties. It was the shattering of trust, the realization that even siblings can become strangers under greed's shadow. Dad's foresight had saved me, but it also forced me to confront my own naivety. Why hadn't I seen Mark's manipulations sooner? Had I been too trusting, too absorbed in caregiving to notice the cracks? Reflection brought forgiveness, slow and uneven. I thought of Mom gone too soon and how she'd always preached unity. Blood is thicker than water, she'd say, baking pies that filled our home with sweetness. Perhaps Dad's plan was his way of honoring her, ensuring we didn't drift apart forever. Mark's transformation was gradual. He volunteered at the shop's new community programs, teaching kids the basics Dad had taught us. Seeing him interact with wide-eyed youngsters, his old arrogance softened. I felt a spark of hope. We shared stories of Dad over beers, laughing at his quirky habits like singing off-key to the radio while fixing engines. Those moments mended what words couldn't. My life blossomed in unexpected ways. With financial stability, I pursued passions sidelined for years. I enrolled in online courses for business management, dreaming of expanding the shop into a chain of community garages, places where single parents or at-risk youth could learn trades for free. The first workshop was a hit. Teens tinkering with old cars, their faces lighting up with accomplishment. It felt like Dad's legacy alive, grease under my nails a badge of honor. Romantically, two things shifted. I met Alex at one of those classes. A kind mechanic with a gentle smile who understood loss, having buried his own parents young. Our dates were simple, hikes near the cabin, sharing dreams under starlit skies. He proposed there one evening, the ring modest but meaningful, echoing Dad's values. Yet drama lingered in subtle waves. Mark faced his own trials. A failed investment from his greedy days left him humbled further. He confided in me during a storm-swept night at the house before its sale. "I was chasing shadows, Sarah. Dad saw it." His vulnerability bridged our gap, turning siblings into allies. We co-authored a family memoir of sorts, scraps of letters and photos, to pass to future generations. A cautionary tale wrapped in love. Closing this chapter meant embracing the full spectrum of emotions, from the dramatic highs of discovery to the reflective lows of introspection. The lawyer's call, once a shockwave, now felt like a lifeline thrown by Dad from beyond. It reminded me that true inheritance is intangible: resilience, empathy, the courage to forgive. Mark and I stood together at Dad's grave on his birthday, placing flowers and tools as tributes. "He'd be proud," Mark whispered, and for the first time I believed him without reservation. My new family grew. Alex and I welcomed a daughter, naming her after Mom. Watching her tiny hands grasp a toy wrench, I vowed to teach her balance, ambition tempered by kindness. The cabin became our sanctuary, filled with laughter and stories of Grandpa's clever will. Friends marveled at our reconciliation, calling it a miracle. But it was no accident. It was Dad's design, a dramatic plot twist in our lives' story. Professionally, the shop thrived. We partnered with local schools, offering apprenticeships that changed lives. One young man, orphaned like I once felt, credited the program with his turnaround. "It's like having a family again," he said. Those words healed old wounds, proving payback isn't always personal. It's ripples of good outweighing bad. Emotionally, I reflected on betrayal's silver lining. It forged my independence. Without Mark's actions, I'd never have uncovered Dad's secret, nor grown into this version of myself. Stronger, more reflective. Drama tests us, but reflection redeems. If this extended tale of family turmoil and triumph touches you, subtly consider subscribing for more such narratives that explore the heart's depths. In quiet moments, I'd imagine Dad watching, chuckling at how his plan unfolded. "Well played," I'd whisper to the wind. Life moved forward, not without scars but with deeper meaning. Mark remarried, starting fresh, our bond a testament to second chances. As I look to the future, more workshops, family vacations, perhaps another child, I carry Dad's wisdom. Love fiercely, forgive freely, and always leave room for surprises.